Okay, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Very good.
I'm Paul Crease, I'm our programming director, and thank you very much for being here today. Part of our exhibits that we put on is not just pretty art on the wall, but we also want to learn about the artist and their process and story and create a sense of environment. So appreciate you taking the time to listen to the fabulous Ann Hempel talk about her work. I have a long history with Ann. She was actually my third grade teacher. She taught me how to meditate and appreciate nature and all kinds of stuff. So I have very fond memories of Ann as a teacher and have really loved getting to know her as an artist and as an adult and human. So thank you for taking the time. Help yourself to a beverage, and I'll pass it over to Ann.
Great.
All right, I hope you can hear me. Thanks for coming, and my husband and my parents are out there. Hi. So I want to share a little bit about my artistic journey, and I have always made art, and I've always been creative. And this will be my clicker sign. So this is me. In third grade, I won an art contest. I was a brownie, and I got a blue ribbon and a check and everything. So it was very exciting. And my grandmother, she would give me quality art supplies when I was young. And she's also an artist. And this really, I think, encouraged me to dabble in art as an elementary school student. And when I was in college, I had my first apartment. And I painted everything. I painted the tea kettle, with pointillism. I hot glued my very kind of conservative blue and white striped couch, a hot pink velvet. So I was not afraid to just be crafty. And I went to Lowe's and I got a canvas rug, drop cloth, and I did an Aztec design with tape and very complicated colors, and I crackled my coffee table, and I did, big paintings for friends, and just have always been interested in art. But I never thought that it could be a career until, I went to Japan. I decided to be a teacher because I didn't think it could be a career, and I loved teaching. And I taught in Japan for a couple of years, and while I was there, I learned pottery at a local temple. It was kind of hard because I didn't speak much Japanese, but I did learn a little about pottery and print block making and, fish that we would put in ink and put on, paper. And so I brought that back, and as a teacher, tried to really I appreciated art and loved painting with my students and doing art. Let's see. So one summer when I was on break as a teacher, I decided to, a friend of mine had a shop, and she asked me to come paint on the weekends to paint furniture for $10 an hour. So, I thought, why not? And I just loved it. It was hot, and I did all these layers of peeling paint and crackle and glazing, and it was just, that shabby chic look that was really popular, and distressed finishes. So I did that. Oh, thank you. I forgot to say, yes. Yeah, so I slowly transitioned from teaching to painting. So I was tutoring a little, and I decided to not be a classroom teacher anymore and tutor and just see how the painting business would go. So I painted furniture and walls, I did the faux finishing, I painted cabinetry, and I noticed I just kind of would lose sense of time. It was almost like meditation. It was just so enjoyable for me, and satisfying work, I guess. And I finally decided to ask my husband to, who's a biologist and not necessarily handy, he is now, but I asked him to build a frame for me because I wanted to paint on wood, and from the furniture to, so all of my paintings are on wood canvases. And so so this is him in my studio. what we did after a year of me kind of dabbling with painting on wood, we built my studio on our property, and I invested in a nice quality easel, and I thought I became kind of legit as an artist, I guess, at this point. And let's see. Sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, so do you have my studio picture next?
Yes.
Let's see. Yeah, so there's a studio picture. This was an open studio day. Yeah, we live in the woods, and it really offers endless opportunities for inspiration in the swampy, just magical area. And the next frame is Suzanne. So what I did is I knew Suzanne from when I was a child at Holy Comforter. Her children went there, and I brought my paintings there just one day, a few paintings, and I said, would you be interested in selling them? And she said right away she would. And so I ended up, actually painting some faux finishing on her, in her shop as well, but then I started selling her paintings, and it was just a really nice relationship that we developed over a decade of working together. And she did close at the beginning of the pandemic. But so that was when I was working there, and a fellow artist said I should apply for LeMoyne chain of parks. And that was a game changer. So, yes. So I had my first show, first art festival that was jury competition in 2010 or 2011. I'm not quite sure which one. And it was amazing. We invested in the tent, and I made this series, this body of work, and sold a lot of paintings. And I met the owners of Cypress Restaurant, and they asked me to have a show. And so this really launched my career as an artist. I was really appreciative of LeMoyne and Cypress and local organizations like COCA. I had my first business workshop that I went to, and that was amazing as well, because I learned all about marketing and website design and social media, and getting all of my systems in order that I needed to really become professional and a businesswoman. So let's see. I want to talk a little bit about inspiration. So I am inspired by what really catches my eye in nature, in my heart. And I just love painting birds. I never get tired of painting birds. And fields of flowers, and water scenes, marshes, and those are the main things. North Florida, I keep it. Well, I just sometimes I paint really whimsical things too, and abstracts. So mermaids and angels and elephants with flowers, and but yeah. So. Thank you. So this is keeping me on track. So Evelyn and I went to Vermont for about a week, and they have a very intense growing season, and the wildflowers were just really inspiring. And I came home, and guess what? My husband had built this huge frame, 8 feet by 4 feet, and so I did my first wildflower large-scale painting, and the next screen, I think, shows this. You can barely see it, but this is the painting in someone's kind of fancy dining room. And I was very inspired to continue that. And I had my first solo show at the Jefferson Arts Gallery in Monticello, and it was called Growing Wild, and it was all wildflower fields. And I collected and dried wildflowers from Colorado, where my sister lives, and my brother-in-law, and they have acres of land in rural Colorado with the mountains, a beautiful backdrop. And we went on hikes. Do you remember this time? And we collected, we cut, fresh wildflowers. I pressed them, I brought them back, and then I embedded them into my paintings for this show. So it was called Growing Wild, and each painting had a piece of Colorado in it. And yeah, I'm inspired to find, bark, moss, grasses, leaves, petals, wings, straw, and I like to embed them, and that's what inspires me. So actual nature inside, the paintings. And sometimes I'll have a song lyric in there as well. So yeah, thank you, leaves. And the next is, so this is called Under the Moon, Just You and Me, and it has flowers and flower petals and feathers in it right here, and gold. And so my daughter, who is 9 now, her name is Evelyn, she was about 4 at the time, and this was wet on the easel, and she, I turned around for a moment, and she had come up and she put the petals right here, just in the painting, and she couldn't reach very far, so she just got them down here, and I realized I really liked it. At first I was a little upset. I was like, oh, you're not allowed to ever touch Mom's, easel, wet work, no. And I did put Under the Moon, Just You and Me in there. So, the petals ended up drying and fading, so I had to figure out how to preserve, and that comes with, just time and experience I learned, and I actually painted them with a little bit of hot pink paint. So, let's see. Yeah, so I wanted to talk a little about my process and technique. So my favorite part of the process is adding these magic touches to the painting to really make it my own. So when you get to the point of a painting, it's usually towards the end, it really takes experience, I think, and discernment to decide when it's complete and what makes it yours. And so that's really my favorite part of the process, is maybe adding just that little bit of iridescence on the wings of a hummingbird, or possibly some gold on the grasses to make it look like the sun is shining through. Or there might be a moon missing in the painting, or like this one, I think Evelyn even helped me. She said, Mom, I think it needs fireflies. And I was like, oh yeah, it needs fireflies. That's it, yeah, I was missing that. So another part of my process is called what I call the big reveal. And it's after I have layered the paint, and I've added I've figured out the composition at this point, and I have added texture and built it up. So it's about halfway through, and then I let it dry, and then I do this glazing process where it's kind of scary because I put this black and brown glaze over the entire thing, and it builds up the texture. It makes this huge difference, so I call it the big reveal, and I wipe it off really quickly, and it gets kind of tucked into all the little crevices and spaces. And it gives it a whole different kind of just dimension and feel to the painting. And I actually remembered the day that I discovered my unique, process and technique, because I knew I had stumbled on something special. And it was, 15 years ago, maybe. And I still use the same process of using this glaze. And then my least favorite part of my process is there's always a point where I hate the painting. I know it sounds strange, but I really dislike it. It's not going in the direction that I want. It's just not feeling right, and I get a little frustrated, or actually, I get a little, just worried about it. So that's when I have to walk away. That's part of the process. Just walk away. And it's like a puzzle that I haven't figured out yet. And then I will come back, the next day usually, because I usually want to come back soon. Sometimes if it's really frustrating, I'll leave it for a while, but that's not a good idea for me. I need to go back soon. And then all is revealed and the puzzle, the solution is there and I see it clearly. And it's such a, it's such a crucial part, I guess, of my process. So, let's see. You know, there's definitely times when, I'm kind of fearless and with paint and materials. And so I think that kind of helped me discover and, my technique, and it's always evolving. And, but I'm not always inspired, but I do go to work every day. So there is times when I really don't feel inspired, but I appreciate, the challenge of a commission, trying to color match. And I also appreciate that I'm doing exactly what I love and what my personality is best suited for. So I've really landed it. This is it for me. I'm an artist and I love it, and I'm lucky. And even if I'm not inspired, inspiration is for amateurs. I go to work every day and I enjoy it, and I'm painting birds and flowers, and on my own schedule, on my own property, and selling my work. So, sometimes the inner critic gets to talking to me, and I have this quote on my wall, and it's, I believe the truth about myself no matter how beautiful it is. And that helps me feel less critical. And it's also part of a lyric of my Velma Fry singing circle. And that kind of weaves its way into my paintings as well. So music is really an important process. Important to my process, I'd say. Picking out the right music, right, Todd? We're like, okay, Avett Brothers, Brandi Carlile this week, or just the Beatles, whatever. And it really does, I think, influence. And I like to, listen to music. So about, people are surprised about this, but other artists might, understand, about 30%, I'd say, of my time is in the studio, and 70% is doing the business administration, communicating with with the patrons, and just working on my organizational systems. I have to edit my photos, and Artwork Archive is my favorite system that I use, and it just keeps me well organized, and I can register all my sales, and I can easily, give a collection of, if people say, I really like your vases, with your flowers and vases, can I see a few examples? And I go, yeah, I've got like 30 of them right here. I can just send them to you through a link, and that makes me feel, professional and, able to be efficient. So I've learned that aspect to my time. I like WordPress, MailChimp, Square, Zap, all those things you have to learn. But I do appreciate LeMoyne and Coca and Cypress and Suzanne's, because if they hadn't really helped me, my business has grown because of these local organizations and businesses. So I make about 60 to 80 paintings a year. And I've made 36 so far this year, and guess how many I've sold this year?
35.
36! But it's funny because, they're not all from this year. So those paintings that sold are from before. So I have, an inventory still, we can look around. They're for sale. So, I want to talk a little bit about my involvement in the community and volunteering. So about 5 years ago, I took over for Ron Yabedra, doing the sage curating at the restaurant. And I enjoy the opportunity to kind of, find new artists, and they might be, veteran artists, but new to me, and, and encourage them to have a show there and have that opportunity. And there's also a holiday art affair in my community where I live, the Miccosukee Land Co-op. And I've organized that for a few years, where it's about 25 artists and craftsmen, and it's a holiday art show, which is kind of cool. And let's see, I teach, thank you, art camp. I volunteer to do that, usually in the summers, and also workshops. Okay, the next one. Yeah, I teach workshops, and I have private. Occasionally, I'll have a student. I'll do private lessons. Not that often, but okay. So the next slide is. So I mentioned that my grandmother was an artist, and I kind of want to end with this because, so she loved painting wildflowers, and I love that we have that in common. They just make me happy. If I have fresh wildflowers in my garden, in my kitchen, I'm just happier. And so I took her ashes and added it into the paint, and made this triptych, which is for my aunt and uncle. They have a large farm with wildflowers, acres of wildflowers, and they asked me to create this for them using my grandmother's ashes. And I surprised my dad for his 70th birthday with a painting that had my grandmother's ashes in it. Of an egret and our heron. Then a picture that he had took and he sent to me. And then also my dad's siblings have paintings as well. And so I've done that from time to time. And I think that's it. If anybody has any questions or comments, you know. Okay, wasn't too long.
That's great, thank you so much. I do have a question.
Sure.
Did you take any kind of formal painting classes or anything where you self-taught?
Well, I am self-taught, but I always have a certain amount of money in my business each year for professional development. So I definitely take workshops. And I went, one of my favorites was in Scottsdale, Arizona. I went to a golden workshop, which is a type of paint, line, and that was great. And I took a few two, I think, painting. Dean Joya was one of my favorites because I learned about painting with a paper towel, and I'd never done that before. It's like very fancy technique, but and also just 2 colors he put together. No, 3. He put together 3 colors, and they changed my life. I mean, it was just so each workshop I go to, definitely I take away something. The Golden Workshop, I took away texture building with their product. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to do this year, but Natalie, forget her last name.
Andreevich?
Yes, Natalie Andreevich, she does workshops in her studio here. But yeah, thanks for asking me. Yeah.
That's your glazing
technique. I've experimented a lot with the glazing technique. She asked me about it. It's just changed over time. Gone wrong in the sense that yes, I've walked away. I've used the wrong material combinations before, thinking I could substitute something, and it turned out horrible. Which reminds me, I do have that video. Could we play the YouTube? Yeah.
Is it on there?
Yeah, the YouTube video. And this is someone who was interested in a painting, who was a videographer. And he asked if we could do a partial trade, and so he made this for me as a promo video. And it shows my glazing process. Oh yeah. Any questions? Yeah.
Oh, what was your cat's name in the first picture?
What?
The kitty cat in your first picture when you were at Brownie?
Black cat. And we actually have a black cat right now.
Okay.
And his name is Scout. And oh my gosh, yeah. My daughter loves him. And we also have another cat named Goza. And we had a cat called Hops and another one named Barley. Do you get any kind of theme going on here? Does my husband like beer or what? We do like stouts, that's for sure. Yes.
So who was Suzanne? I don't.
So it was called Suzanne's Down Under, and she was a
that's
business.
Suzanne. I didn't recognize her in the picture.
Oh yeah, yeah. So on
Suzanne
Capital
Whitaker.
Circle, Suzanne Whitaker.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, love her, and we had a really easy, great, professional relationship. She would take my paintings with her. She'd take these, like $10,000 couches and chairs, and she'd take this painting would look great, I think, in your vignette, and people would buy them. It was great.
There we go.
And we definitely have some other questions back here.
Okay.
Oh, did I answer the question? Yeah.
I was just wondering if you ever travel around Florida to get your inspiration in nature or any landscapes by any chance?
Yes, thanks. That's a good question. So during the pandemic, I realized what makes me happiest is being outside with my family, having adventure, not too much like zip lining or anything crazy. But I like canoeing. We have a canoe trip that we do with friends every year on the Swanee River. And I love springs, cold springs. So my next trip is Devil's Den. You go down into a cave, or Jenny Springs, or love the beach. I'm very inspired. One time I went to the beach with my family, and I brought my huge easel and paints and buckets of paints and big canvases, and I sat looking at the ocean and just painted during the week. It was really fun. And my family, so 22 of us there at the beach house, would come down and go, "Oh, what are you painting? Oh, that's cool. Look, maybe you can paint something like that for me." So it was really fun. But yeah, I do. I love being outside, and I just want more adventure.
Pines at 38.
Oh yeah, Pines on 30A. Oh yeah, and also river camps where we go canoeing, and I love seeing the pelicans land on their posts. And Todd will be talking about bugs, and Evelyn will be singing, and I'll just be kind of forming a painting in my mind as I'm paddling down, river. So yeah. Mainly all in my studio. The most plein air was really that trip to the beach. Yeah, so I mainly paint from pictures. So I'll scroll through Instagram and Pinterest, and just to get color, in my head, and then I start. Dan?
You're a wildly successful Chino Clark's artist, and you always seem so even keeled. Do you feel any pressure to prepare for a show like that? You have to have product, right, to sell.
Yes.
Do you feel pressure?
I do. I'm glad it doesn't come across.
You just go in Anne's booth and she's like, "Oh, hey, how are you?" How are you? She's like, "Oh, I sold 22 things."
I feel so grateful for my community of patrons, and yes, I can't believe I get invited back every year. I'm so happy because it just means so much to me. I do go to other shows like New Smyrna or Pensacola. Where else do we go? A couple different places, but this is my favorite show by far because. Oh, okay, sorry.
I just have a story to tell.
Okay.
Anne's art is not only Florida. I have to tell this story because it was a great story. Carl and I were with parents. We were in Santa Barbara, California, and we were tasting wine, and we went to this Ritz-Carlton, very fancy hotel on the coast. And Carl was sitting down to drink his coffee one morning in the coffee shop, and I looked at the backdrop and I said, "Gosh, that looks like Anne's paintings." And sure enough, I went closer and I saw her signature, and she had two, or maybe it was three, beautiful paintings. And they were in the Ritz-Carlton in Santa Barbara, California. No idea. So I immediately called her. And she said, "Oh, is that where they ended up?" So that was a great story. So you're pretty well known.
Yeah, that was
Other places.
And didn't you say Dad said, "I think somebody ripped off her style"? I mean, this is just
my daughter's painting. We do it. It's from Tallahassee, Florida. That was really fun. That was great.
But I do work hard to prepare for Chain of Parks every year. And it's a big deal in our family and, you know, in my life. And I always, you know, hope that I do good work. My biggest fear is that it's going to be mediocre or that people don't like it, you know. So I do put pressure on myself, and I just try my best to get inspiration and, you know, do my best. That's all I can do.
In relation to that, how do you feel about commissions versus working on your own personal work?
Oh, commissions are so much harder, and I charge the same amount. I don't know why. I just haven't figured that part out of the business yet. So it's technical and challenging to color match, and you know it can't be exactly like it. But I, you know, 30% or more of my work is commission based, so I love it in the sense that I know I've got some money coming, you know, like as soon as I do that painting that I've been procrastinating for months, and then I'll be like, okay, I'm doing it this week. So, but yeah, so I love the blank canvas. It's, you know, always kind of intimidating, but not for commissions, it's just technical. And then for my own work, for getting ready for Chain of Parks or a new show, you know, yeah, I like that better because sometimes I have to be kind of tired to go in my studio. My perfect time to paint is between like 1 and 5 or 2 and 6, because a different part of my brain is going on in the morning, and I'm at the computer, I'm, you know, cleaning the kitchen, you know, other stuff. And then when I feel a little tired and a little relaxed, I like to go out and paint. And then I love that 5 o'clock time when, you know, it's just beautiful outside, especially in the spring and fall, and I bring the painting outside and I look at it. I might, you know, bring my paints out a little bit, bring it back in, and that's my favorite time to paint. And just use that, you know, discernment, I guess, is, you know, what does it need? What's it missing? That kind of thing.